Hello YouTube, Film Buff 06 here, coming your way with a review of the 2011 adaptation of Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, which was directed by this guy called Cary Fukunaga, was written by Moira Buffini, who also wrote Tamara Drew and Byzantinium, and stars Mia Wasikowska from Alice in Wonderland, Michael Fassbender, Billy Elliot himself, Jamie Bell, and Judi Dench. Now I'm going to have to admit that I have never grown up with reading the book, and I know what you all might be thinking. What? Surely you must have read Jane Eyre at some point in your life. Sadly, no, I haven't. I will read it at some point. I will read it at some point in the near future. It's just that that growing up, either I haven't bothered to read it, or I've been horribly lazy, or have just never been introduced to it. Been introduced to it while growing up. So sorry to all those Jane Eyre fans. Now I'm not going to I'm not going to describe the plot because I cannot really remember, to be honest, how the story of the book, and B, possibly everyone, I think, must have read Jane Eyre at some point in their lives and probably know the classic story already. So what did I think of this adaptation of Jane Eyre? This is probably a very, very hard film to categorize. I mean, it's not a good film. It's not a good film. That and for a fact. But it's not a very bad one either. It's kind of problematic, really. I'm going to get a few. It has a mixture of good and bad parts about it. Moira Buffini's screenplay adaptation of this book is pretty good, if problematic, because I think the original source material is about 400 plus pages long, and she has to condense all the important plot elements of this book into 2 hours, into 2 whole hours of screen time, and with any adaptation of Jane Eyre, that is impossible to do, because you could risk losing the whatever spirit and whatever heart there is in the book. The heart there is in the book. the direction by Cary Fukunaga, the story, of course, is great. It's classic. Why wouldn't it be? Cary Fukunaga's direction is quite impressive, it has to be said. The production design and costumes are great. The editing is decent as well. The cinematography, it has to be said, by Adriano Goldman is brilliant, and it brilliantly gives this adaptation in particular a certain gothic atmosphere that I do not believe has ever been present in any of the other adaptations of Jane Eyre that have been done over the years. It brilliantly gives this adaptation this gothic atmosphere, almost gives it the feeling of like an old Hammer horror film. The score by Dario Marianelli is very beautiful. And the acting from almost everyone involved is great. I mean, Sally Hawkins and Jamie Bell, both do surprisingly good jobs with their performances. Judi Dench is fabulous as she usually is. Michael Fassbender brilliantly conveys the tortured soul that is Edward Rochester. I mean, now, to those of you who don't know who Michael Fassbender is as an actor, he has been in a lot of great films since 2009. I mean, he was in Inglourious Bastards, the Quentin Tarantino film. He's been in Shame. He's been in he portrayed Magneto in X-Men First Class and its upcoming sequel, Days of Future Past. And most recently he's been in 12 Years a Slave as this villainous slave owner. And in here, as I just said before, he's just brilliant as Mr. Rochester. I have to say, though, the only weak link in this cast is the lead actress, Mia Wasikowska. I didn't think she was a good Alice, to be honest. And I know a lot of critics have said that she is one of, if not the best Jane Eyres ever put to film. But in my honest opinion, she just felt bland, stiff as a piece of cardboard. And it looked as if she was reading her lines off of a script rather than saying them organically or naturally. And this unfortunately undermines the supposedly passionate chemistry between her and Fassbender. And that is a shame. and that is a shame. The film ends rather abruptly, really. It's as if the director and the screenwriter kind of guessed that everyone knows how the book ends, so they decided to end it on rather abruptly, when, spoiler alert, Jane finds the bearded Mr. Rochester, who is blinded as a result of the fire at Thornfield Hall, and they get to reunite with each other and embrace, and from there the film decides to just end there, and I know I've never read the book, but for some reason it just left me this film just left me wanting more. So I will, as I said before, I will read the book, and I think this film, will, I think this film kind of, what's the word? And I think this film would make me want. I think this film makes me want to read the book in the near future, which I will do in the near future. There's no, and also another thing before I forget, another positive thing before I forget, the locations in Derbyshire and the Derbyshire moors look beautiful on film. That's that out of the way before I forget. Anything else? No, that's it really. I would not recommend this film to fans of the original source material. It will leave avid fans of the book sorely disappointed, and will just leave them wanting more. Again, to all those who are fans of the book, or Charlotte Bronte fans in general, this is really not the movie for you. I'd rather recommend to you like the Orson Welles version, or even the 2006 BBC adaptation with Charlotte Gainsbourg. Not this adaptation, really. My rating for Jane Eyre 2011, it's gonna have to be a 5 out of 10. Not a good adaptation of the book, but not a bad one either. It is just middle of the road, and it's a missed opportunity, really. Now, feel free to leave a comment in the section below and let me know your thoughts on Jane Eyre. Plus, feel free to subscribe to my channel, And until my next video, which is going to be my review of the Sherlock Series 1 finale, The Great Game, for Sherlock Week on Who Addicts Reviews. Do take care, everyone, and farewell.